Hi, and welcome to the 2019-2020 hockey season, and welcome to the first edition of Tom's Talks. I really want to take the opportunity to congratulate everyone for a wonderful summer. I hope you've done what we asked you to do, and that's to participate in other sports, to recognize the value of multi-sport activity, if you will. That being said, and kicking off this season of Tom's Talks, I want to introduce to you Jason deVos. Jason, I want to welcome you to Tom's Talks, first edition. It'll be great to have you here. I'm looking forward to talking about today's topic. It's really, really important, and I think you know all about this. At the 7 and 8 year old level, we have now implemented this season mandatory across the country, small space hockey, if you will, as we've introduced this sort of in a pilot across the country in the last year. There's been resistance. I would imagine so too in soccer, to the degree that you can explain to us. But the bottom line is that we feel strongly in the value of small space sport. I just wonder, at Canada Soccer, how does the small space activity work for you?
It's really about putting kids in the right environment for the stage of development that they're at. And I'll start by applauding Hockey Canada for the steps that you've taken. It's not easy to make change happen when we have this cultural inertia. It's almost the opposition comes down to, but we've always done it this way, or that's not real hockey or real soccer. Why is my child not playing on a full field that the adults use, that the pros use? We don't make them use the same equipment as the pros. Certainly not in hockey. Imagine a little tyke on the ice with a big stick and having to deal with that. The more touches on the puck, touches on the ball that a young child can get, the more they're going to fall in love with the sport. And we've certainly seen that in our sport, in soccer. When we introduced the changes to the structure and game formats of soccer for younger children, there was opposition, but I think over time, people have come to realize the major benefits that are there. The evidence is conclusive. More touches on the ball, more time in transition, which is essentially what the game is all about. Even at the highest level of the sport, we talk about transition as being the moments when games are won and lost. So when you win the ball and you attack, and you lose the ball and you have to defend, those are the moments that really have to be cemented in at a young age, so that kids understand the concept of attacking and defending.
Do you think that through other sporting activities, and certainly soccer is so similar to hockey in many ways, you played both sports yourself, so you know this, but is there an opportunity as well to enhance a child's processing skills? We talk about hockey sense. I'm not sure exactly what the term might be.
Football IQ, we call it.
Football IQ, yeah. And so my curiosity is that one of the aspects of the game that seems to be really hard to teach, we think, is hockey sense. In small space hockey, small space or confined space soccer, is there an opportunity to become spatially aware, but also even more so, more alert and in a position to assimilate, where you are in that moment in time and develop sense?
Yeah, I think when you look at it from that lens, it's really about the decision-making process for the athlete. And you look at the highest level of sport, the international level in hockey and soccer, it's about who makes the most correct decisions most often. Those are generally the players that get to the highest level of the sport. And we need to be able to create environments for our kids where they can make age and stage appropriate decisions based on the environments that they're in. And I use hockey as an example. There's nothing worse for young players, 7, 8 year olds, where you see them on a full sheet of ice and one player has the puck and they just skate from one end of the ice to the other and they score and they dominate, because there's so much open space. So they're not really having to make many decisions. When you put them in a more confined space, they have to start using that decision-making skill set. They start developing that decision-making skill set. And that's what we've seen in our research in soccer, that small-sided games create more moments of transition. They create more decision-making opportunities for kids. It leads to more goal-scoring opportunities, more defensive interactions as well. And these are the key components of the sport that need to be developed. And that's what kids fall in love with. They fall in love with scoring goals and defending and saving shots. And it's the same in hockey.
The great thing too, I wonder about is, I guess, twofold. Number one is, and anticipation is part of sense, I would think. So there's an opportunity to just become a little bit more risk-taking, if you will, in terms of anticipating a play.
Yeah.
And you talked about both sides of the ball, both sides of the puck, offensively and defensively. I think that's critical. The other thing I wonder about is that ability to, and I don't know how much contact is incidental in soccer, but I believe in small space it is, as it would be in hockey. And it's not that it's premeditated, it's just a function of close quarters. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a function of being active. And would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. It's funny when I've had this discussion with parents, with coaches, with clubs, with administrators in the past about why these changes are being put into play. I always ask them the question, what would the kids do if we weren't there? Right? So what would a group of 7 and 8-year-old kids do if the parents weren't there and they didn't have enough players to play a full game?
Right.
Well, they would create their own space that's appropriate for what they're trying to do, because that's actually what they want. They want to have those decision-making opportunities. When in terms of the contact, I think that's a part of the learning process for the child as well. In either sport, is that you need to learn how to shield the puck. You need to learn how to pass and interact with your teammates. You need to know how to defend and win back the puck, right? And then transition to an attacking mindset. So, the more opportunities we can give kids to do that, and we've certainly seen this in soccer, the more enjoyment that they get out of the sport. And that's what keeps them coming back for more, is that they want to be able to score goals, they want to be able to stop goals, but it's very difficult to do that when you've got a 7 and 8-year-old on a full-size soccer field that the pros are using. Because there aren't that many moments of goal-scoring opportunities. There aren't that many moments of defensive transition. So these are the opportunities that we want to try and give kids. And by reducing the space to an appropriate size based on their stage of development, it's probably the best thing for them.
I wonder, I don't know, to me, it would appear to me that soccer is, obviously, it's the game that is certainly worldwide in terms of its recognition, but also participation. There's no question about that. I guess I'm curious to know if, in fact, the numbers of participants are increasing in soccer in Canada. Are they staying level? Are they decreasing? And here's where I'm going to with that one. I would think in small space activity, with more kids involved, more engagement, more opportunity to touch the puck, more opportunity to make decisions, more kids just enjoy that 45 minutes. So all of a sudden you've gone from 2 or 3 kids having the time of their life by running the pitch on their own or skating 200 feet by themselves, maybe with a teammate that could keep up.
Yeah.
And so 3 or 4 are leaving the rink happy that day,
Yeah.
and maybe their parents are. Whereas 15 others are going, I'm not sure what I really accomplished today. And certainly the parents must be asking themselves that too.
Yeah.
So my question, I guess, is a point at the same time. You've got to think that with more opportunity to stay engaged, you stay in the sport longer.
Well, all of the evidence that we have accumulated over the years in small-sided soccer is that there are more touches on the ball for each player. There are more goal-scoring opportunities. There are more 1v1 opportunities to be able to show your skill. There are more transitions, both offensive and defensive. It's more like the real game. The real irony in all of this and sort of the opposition to this switch to small-sided games is that at the professional level, when we want to encourage those decision-making opportunities, we don't play an 11v11 game on a full field. We play a small-sided game. Right. So the pros are doing this because it's a condensed version of that decision-making process. So by extension, it's the same thing in hockey. There's nothing worse than seeing a child go out on the ice, skate around for a minute on a shift, and never touch the puck, not once, and then come off the ice. What do they learn from that? Not a great deal. So we have the same in our sport. The equivalent would be, the defender that's standing on the halfway line, and the rest of the team are 40 yards away where the ball is, right. And they're standing there, but they're not engaged. That's not enjoyable. So for us, it's about trying to keep as many kids engaged in the game as possible for as long as possible in the best environment possible. And we believe strongly that that's going to create a love for the game that's going to keep them coming back for more.
And as Director Development, Canada Soccer, I would imagine that it's incumbent on you to make sure that the skill base, the technical skill base for children on an individual level is paramount in order to play the game for a lifetime, we hope, obviously, but certainly to enjoy it in that moment in time, but also maybe pursue something in terms of a high-performance opportunity. but even not, just to play the game, you still have to build on that base of fundamental skill.
Absolutely, and we talked a little bit about the fact that sport, soccer, hockey, all sport, it's really about decision making. But in order to make the correct decision, you have to have the fundamental skill to be able to execute that decision. So, we talk about skill development as being a comfort level with the ball. It'd be similar with a puck on the ice. You have to have comfort with the puck on your stick. And the more comfortable you are with the puck at your stick, the more skills you're going to be able to exhibit, the more correct decisions you're going to be able to make. So those things are very much intertwined. And certainly from our perspective at soccer, we want to get kids active with the ball at their feet as young as possible. And the more time that they can spend in practice, at home, playing around in the backyard with mom and dad or at the park with their friends, with the ball at their feet, the more likely they're going to be very comfortable with it. And that's going to translate to better performance in training, better enjoyment in the game, more success in the game. And we know from all the research that we do as well that kids play sport because it's fun, and they quit because it's not fun. So if they have the skills they need to be successful in the sport, it's a very good chance they're going to have more fun.
Is it safe to say that the environment in both our sports, is the responsibility of the adult, and the fun inherent with all of that, we hope, belongs to the kids?
Absolutely. I always say that the adults are the guardians of the sport, but the primary benefactors are the children that play it. And our job as adults is to create the best environment possible for kids to fall in love with sport, whether it's soccer, hockey, basketball, volleyball, baseball, whatever. We want our kids to be active for life, whether it's in our sport or your sport or another sport. So the only way we're going to do that is if they fall in love with it. The only way we're going to do that is if we create the right environment for that.
And that certainly must have been your career path. I mean, at the end of the day, you had to learn and understand the skills, how to apply those skills individually, how to work collaboratively with teammates in order to kind of move the game along for yourself, literally and figuratively. But also as an adult and playing professional soccer, both in Canada and overseas, I coming back to that small space, and we'll close with this. I know you played small space soccer. I've coached small space hockey to National Hockey League players. I know you did that. It worked for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really about building blocks, I think, and comfort, technical ability, foundational skills, those all translate into a game environment. And when you're in close quarters, when you're playing in those small-sided games, and again, as I said before, we do that almost every day at the professional level. Those scenarios are when decisions get made. And that's how you become a better player, is by being in those situations more often. You ask any group of players in any sport at any level, when they show up to training, what do you want to do today? First thing they say, I want to play a game, right? Do you want to play a full field game where you're only going to touch the ball for maybe 2 minutes out of a 90-minute session? Right? That's the statistic in a full soccer game. For 90 minutes, the best player on the field has the ball for 2 minutes. Or do you want to play a small-sided game where you're going to have the ball an awful lot more? I know that pros want to play the small-sided games. I know the kids enjoy it as well.
It's been a great few minutes with you. Really appreciate that, Jason. And I know that certainly Canada Soccer is in good hands with you at the helm of development. I'd like to think that we can mirror each other's intent. For sure, I do believe that we marry each other nicely with respect to how we play, the concepts behind play for sure. It doesn't matter what the activity is. If the common denominator is fun, giving kids the opportunity to acquire the right skills to enjoy it for a lifetime, I think we're in good shape. We are talking about 7 and 8-year-old children here, parents, officials, coaches, all the adults that have an opportunity to have an impact and influence on these children that really do have the chance to play this game for a lifetime. Let's pay attention to small space games. This is a big year for Hockey Canada. It's a bigger year for the participants who we really and truly hope play the game for a lifetime because we gave them the right start. Jason, thanks a million.
Thank you.